Okay, guys. So thank you guys for joining me for How to Have Your Best Year Ever. I recognize a lot of the names in the class, so I appreciate you guys if you one are business partner of ours and a client. And some of you I don't recognize. So for those of you who are new to me, my name is Lizy Hoeffer. I have been a residential loan officer since 2008, worked in the mortgage industry for about 19 years. And I scaled my business starting from like 2014 to what it is today, using a lot of the tactics that I had, using a lot of the tactics that I'm going to show you today. So first and foremost, I know that people have done business planning in the past, and a lot of what that looks like is just, setting intentions for the year and not necessarily like tactical metrics, right? And the tactical metrics are actually the thing that moves the needle for us. And so that's what today's class is going to be on, is what tactical things can you implement this year in terms of data, in terms of system changes that will actually move the needle for next year. So just to kind of give you some perspective on what's happened in my business is I was originally a loan officer top producer back in 2013. I did somewhere between 10 to 13 loans every single month. And then I actually ended up getting fired from my job and having to restart my entire career. And so I leveraged things like social media. I read a really fantastic book called Traction, and then Delivering Happiness. And so I've come up with like a business structure that I constantly review and improve. Okay, so my business at that time, like I said, 10 to 13 loans, it moved up from like 167 as my top year to 238 to 412, 529, 634, 721, 834, 981. And then this past year, we closed at just under 1,300 loans, right? And so we're already scaling to do even better than that this year. So I promise you, even if you get one or two nuggets from this class, it will be well worth your while. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to start getting into it. Now, super helpful for me. I know that this is a Zoom class, but when you guys have questions, if you guys want to put them in the chat, and then we're going to be saving time after this class. Well, after I'm done with the presentation, to just answer like one-off questions. Okay. All right, so I'm sharing my screen. Okay, let me know if you guys can see that. Give me a thumbs up in the chat. That'd be awesome. Okay, so like I said, a lot of times business planning is fairly simple. So it's a lot about, what you plan on doing versus like what's actually possible for your business. So I don't believe in that. So a couple of things that you will have to prepare in order to be really, really good at metrics data and scaling your business is you're going to have to create some business data. So if you're new to the business, your number one business goal is just to get a database full of 300 people that know and like you that could refer you. Okay, that's going to be the big homework assignment. But if you've been in business for a year to 2 years, I want you to gather all of your sales, and then we're going to figure out if it's a purchase or a listing, the property type, the transaction type, right? Purchase price, sales price, commission, location, right? So I want you guys to really understand where and who you're selling to. And then we're going to identify the lead source, right? So where did the lead come from and the activity that generated the lead? Those things are super crucial, right? The lead source and the activity that generated the lead, because what we're trying to gather here is one, who your primary client is, right? That should be the focus of all of your marketing, and it should be the focus of all of your prospecting activities. And then we're going to find out what you're actually good at, right? So when I did this activity at the very beginning, I was heavily cold calling, right? So that was like my number one source of prospecting was cold calling. And so I would spend hours a day cold calling. And then I would do this thing that I call a milk route, which I would stop by all of my offices and I would go visit them and I would get leads. It turned out that my milk route actually yielded way more referrals than all of my cold calling. So I ended up reversing my calendar around visiting more people. And actually, creating systems where I could leverage events so that I could speak in front of more people, right? So that's what you're going to be really trying to figure out here, is what you're actually good at that generates leads. Okay. Now this process will take you somewhere between 2 hours if you're like organized, and it could take days, right? If you're somebody who has to like pull out all of your settlement statements. If you're somebody that has to pull out all of your settlement statements, one thing that you will need to invest in is a CRM. So that's a client relationship management tool. If you can use, I use Salesforce, but there's a ton of ones like Follow Up Boss, Lion's Desk. And you can actually go with some inexpensive versions like a Google Business Account, which I think is like $200 a year, right? And so it's really important that you do this because you do not want to be spending days gathering data, right? We want to spend like 2 hours and then figure out a target list of activities that will really move the needle for us, okay? So the other thing that came up for me when I did this activity was that even though I can do refinances, I can do investment purchases, second homes, I was predominantly helping first-time home buyers with their purchases. And so because of that, I niched down to market only to first-time home buyers. And then because I am marketing towards first-time home buyers, giving tools and resources for them, I actually also end up targeting the referral partners, so agents that work with first-time home buyers, right? So a lot of them recognize me as somebody that can help a first-time home buyer. So it has multiple purposes, but niching down really helped me figure out like how to market. Okay, now I've done this with a bunch of different agents, variety of different skill sets, variety of different productions, and I will tell you that absolutely every single person has a predominant client base. Worst case scenario, you have 2 categories that are fairly similar, and we can honestly niche it down to what's the same between both demographics. All right, so we talked about the simple business spreadsheet. It should look something like this, right? And I've done mine on Excel. That's what mine looks like, but I wanted to give you like an idea of what you could create. Okay. And then what I want you to do is after that, I want you to write down what your business looks like today. It is so important for you guys to track what the business looks like today, because sometimes we are confused about whether or not our business is growing, right? So I've had a lot of agents tell me that they've made more money in 2020 and 2021, but they're doing way less units. And so what's good is you've made more money. What's not great in terms of a business metric standpoint is that you are actually losing clients. You have less clients and less transactions, which is not a healthy sign of positive business income in the future. Okay. So we want to know how many deals you've closed this year, sales volume, sales price, number of people in your database, and out of that number, how many of them are active referral partners. Okay. We want to know where your primary source of closings came from, secondary, and then one-offs. Okay. So for me, my number 1 source of clients is real estate agents. My number 2 is my database. And then I randomly like get Google searches, right? So I'm not putting a ton of time and effort into, SEO or Google searches, right? Because that is something that isn't well within my control, but I am focusing almost all of my attention on helping my first-time home buyers with budgeting tips, credit tips, and a lot of those same resources can then be used to help my database as well. So just know that we got a primary closing source, a secondary, and that's where we spend the majority of our time. Now, those aren't necessarily, though, the same sources that lead to your leads. Another aha moment I had when I was doing this activity was that the place that I generated the most leads from was actually not my highest closing source. So the reason that we check leads is 1, we want to figure out if we have a fallout rate, what percentage of that is. Even the best real estate agents lose clients, right? We want to know why we're losing them. Number 2, we want to know if we're spending the appropriate time with the right referral sources. So like I said, I did this activity and I found out that my best lead source was actually my lowest conversion source. So we had a switch up quite a bit there, right? Originally I thought about not continuing with the partnership, but we ended up just changing where those people got their leads. So super important that you look at that, right? Because time cost is something that people forget about, and it's the biggest suck to our businesses. All right, and then we want to figure out where we're marketing. Okay, so prospecting is amazing, and I am full force on prospecting. You do not have a business, I think, without direct conversations, face-to-face meetings, but you want to market to your business. You want to have a good social media presence. You want to have a good database strategy. This is the ongoing passive strategy that keeps you from having to make a phone call every single week to a VIP, right? So we want long-term strategy. Think of this as your long-term sales funnel. I've been working on my email newsletter, you guys, for the last 6 years, and it's now become like a pretty strong referral source back into the business, but it did take some time. So this is your passive long-term strategy for new leads. Okay, so we're going to identify the business today. I want you guys to figure out who is on your team and then who you need on your team in order to make things happen. This is what we call an org chart. Every single person in your organization, whether you're one person, two people, most of you plan on growing, will need something like this that you can give to people so that they're aware of their job duties, who does what on the team. It's a very helpful tool in terms for hiring, business planning, and then training. Okay. If you have team members now, I always recommend that you rank everyone on a scale of 1 to 5, right? Being their best performance, and have them rank themselves just to see if you guys are aligned. Generally speaking, anyone that doesn't get a 4 to 5 for me is somebody that I consider either I need to upgrade them with training, I need to have like a serious conversation, or I just need to top grade later on in my business. Okay. So just be aware of that. I do that literally annually for every employee. Okay, so we got our business metrics. We're looking at our team. The next thing I need you to do is look at your database. This will take some time. You need at least, like I said, 300 people. The goal is to get at least 25 VIP people that will refer you, for really solid leads that close annually. Okay, so this is tough to have. Typically, most people have somewhere around 150, and then they work up to that 300 mark. And then 150 are in like what I call a marketing list. My database today has about 3,000 people in it. Okay, so just know that that will evolve and you want to keep on working on it. This list will be gold. Okay, so like let's say social media shuts down, having a good email list is super huge. One of the things I always tell people is that the only thing you truly own in your business, right? Like the brokerages can change and move, but the one thing that cannot change is your own data and information for your clients. Okay, so I cannot hammer this in enough how important a solid business list is. All right, so then this is going to have you again rank all of your database people and then all of your passives. Again, like I said, the goal is 300 people. Okay, 25 VIPs. All right, so now it's time to get into the nitty-gritty of the data and the database, right? So I look at that simple business spreadsheet and I'm trying to get aha moments, right? So I'm trying to figure out, right, do I like my primary closing source? Am I spending the appropriate time? Do I need to improve on it? I typically like to improve on my strategies anywhere between 20 to 30% annually. Okay, and I'm just really trying to go, okay, what can improve here, or what systems need to be in place? There's so many times that I find like information. So like right now I'm looking at what we call our WOW process, which is just all the great touch points that we have for a client from like lead inception to post closing. And I'm going, what things, one, can be automated and made more efficient for the client? Two, like, could we add more fun to the transaction, right? Is there a way, right, that we can get more reviews? Like, how do we get more reviews and more current client referrals? Because when somebody is in a purchase transaction, and write this down, guys, it's important information, they know 6 other people that want to buy and sell. Okay, so in their process of like when they start thinking about buying a house and selling a house, they will come across 6 different people who have the similar thoughts. And if we could just get at least 1 to 2 of those leads in that process, guys, we wouldn't really have to prospect that hard. Okay, so that's some of the stuff that I think about when we're doing our business planning and our business reviews. Okay, like I said, again, we're getting really tactical. with the information. Again, this is like how I compare my lead sources. Again, it's very similar to the simple business tracker, and I won't spend too much time on that, right? It's the same thing. One thing that is different here is, again, I added a closed and lost category, right? Because I want to know like what my conversion percentage is, because we can always improve that skill set and up our closings just with that simple thing without having to increase the number of leads that we get annually. Okay. So increasing conversion should always be something that you guys put on your annual business to-do list. Okay. Then I look at referral partners, and then I look at costs. Okay. Again, we are business people first. You always have to be profitable. Okay. And then I rank them again on primary conversion lead source, my fallout rates, how much money I spent, and what items can be improved. Okay. And this is a lot of information, and you guys are all going to get a copy of this workbook, but these are all the metrics that I really go into with leads. And I check lead quality once a week. Like I check, did I get the right number of leads? Did the leads convert at the percentage, my minimum conversion rate? Right? This is super, super important because leads are very expensive, both monetarily and time cost. And this is where I see most business and most real estate agents make the biggest mistakes, right? We throw money at leads thinking that it will just create so much abundance that we'll just close all the deals that we need, and then we're not profitable. Okay. I can't even tell you how many real estate agents P&Ls I see that are not profitable because of lead spends. So these are all the categories that you want to find. It is a lot of categories, but truthfully, you want to make positive that you're doing this because otherwise you're just going to be, like I said, spending time and money and not being profitable. Okay. This is all about profitability. One thing that I will recommend, and I'm going to do a profit and loss class at the very beginning of next year if you guys are interested, but it's all about how we know, like as business people, right, how we're really truly profitable. Many people think that profitable is I just paid my bills, but profitability really looks like we have money to reinvest in our business. We have money to pay our taxes. We have money to pay all of our marketing expenses, hire employees. And so you just want to make sure that you're really surviving as a business, because nothing is worse than being unable to hire because you're not profitable. Okay. And then having to work literally like 20 hours a day. I have literally been there. So big things on here, guys, is gross and net profit margin. Okay. So what you made before the lead and all the expenditures, and then what you made after all the expenditures for marketing, sales team, commissions, taxes, etc. And the other thing is to pay attention to is the cost of customer acquisition. Again, like what does it take you, cost you to gather all of these leads? Okay, so circle to write that down, right? So 2, 3, and 4 are the most important. Okay. All right. So once we've gathered all the information for business metrics, lead metrics, checked your database, I want you guys, based on the information that you gathered, to find out where your real like zones of genius are. Where is the business doing super well, right? It's going to be your primary like prospecting source, your primary lead source. That's where you're offering the most value. Let's really write that down. Let's get a comprehensive list of what you guys are doing well. And then I want you guys to think about what you guys are like, what shortcomings you guys have in terms of process and employees, right? Where are you guys not converting? And then what opportunities are there to fix that, right? So where can you guys fix that? And then what is your competition doing? So that's what threats are. Now, when it comes to threats and opportunities, one of the biggest things that I always tell people is that it's so super important to know what the best person is in your marketplace is doing, but do not become them. Cheater brands rarely ever succeed. So there's a really great book, and you can write this down too. It's called The 22 Immutable Laws of Marketing. But it teaches us, right? So it teaches us that we want to figure out what their biggest strength is and then figure out what the opposite is, right? So for instance, I have run a large team. if you were going after, let's say my business, right? Let's say if you were a loan officer and you had a small team, you would say, okay, well, what are their weaknesses? Well, a large team means you're probably going to talk to a lot of people, right? So you could like base your number one strength based on you only talk to one person, or you have a dedicated customer service person, right? Now, where I would say is, okay, one person only has so much bandwidth and we're available from 7 to 7, 7 days a week, right? So that's how you look at that, but do not copy the best person in your marketplace. You want to find out what they do, and then some of your opportunities are going to be being the best at the opposite of them. Okay. All right. So then I want you guys to come up with at least 10 improvement projects. Okay. So the reason I come up with 10 is because I always like to, what I do, it's called priority pairing. So I want to look at like everything that could impact my business, everything that could make things better. And then I want to rank them based on what will have the most impact. And sometimes it takes at least 10 ideas before I come up with 3 good ones. Okay, so super important. And then what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to break them down into 90-day sprints. Okay, so you're going to want to have a plan that lasts all year long and then compounds on each other. Okay, because you'll be reviewing this business plan at minimum once a quarter. Okay, and so we're going to keep what your best prospecting, your best marketing, and those things we're just going to improve upon 30% by adding additional activities that we think could enhance the ROI on it. And then we're going to stop whatever our lowest conversion item is. Now, this sucks because sometimes we really like items that don't bring us any conversion. And so it's a really hard discipline. I have spent countless, I mean, I used to write all the time for on my blog, like, and I loved it and it gave me so much purpose and I really like writing, but it didn't really bring in any leads. And so instead I changed that to a YouTube channel because of my really good friend Javier, who is amazing. So you guys should check out his YouTube channel. So I changed that to a video series, way higher conversion. Okay. So just know that you will fall in love with certain things that do not convert. You gotta drop them no matter what. Okay. And then I always try improving on my skill set. So for instance, in-person sales, this next year, I'm going to be doing like professional speaker training, right? Because I teach a lot of classes and I want to make sure that we have better engagement, better results from them. So that's a skills and training that I'm going to be doing for one of my highest prospecting activities. Okay. We also do script practice and script call training for our salespeople, but ongoing training is a necessity. Doesn't matter how good or what, how top of a producer you are. Okay. And then once we do that, right, I want you, if you have never done a review of your business before, I want you to just write down what the goals are going to be. But if you have, I want you to compare this to last year's. Okay. So my business has stayed fairly consistent up until this last year. So first-time home buyers have always been a thing that I focus on a lot. Well, move-up buyers and refinances are giving my first-time home buyer demographic a run for their money. And there's a couple of reasons why. One, my past clients are now move-up home buyers and now they're refinancing their homes. Inventory has been down like 13%. And so not as many first-time home buyers are getting their offers accepted. And so sometimes you have to look at market data and decide if you're going to pivot or not, or if you stay consistent. So for me, my pivoting looks like, okay, if I was a move-up buyer, are there still strategies that I can talk about and videos I can make and newsletters that I can make and conversations I can have that will still help support my first-time home buyers, right? So I'm really still trying to keep it consistent because I believe like in the long haul, first-time home buyers are where it's at. And I've only seen 1 year of changing data. But it is something that I really want to be cognizant about because I don't want to keep doing, the same thing knowing that my clientele has changed, right? So super important that you do a look back, every time you upgrade your business plan. Okay. So, at the end of this, I want you guys to come up with what you guys are going to do based on a 20 to 30% increase of whatever your numbers were last year. Lots of people like to do a 50% increase across the board. I find long-term those numbers are unattainable, but like if you did 10 transactions last year, it is absolutely possible to do 20 transactions this year. If you did 20 transactions this year, I do believe it's possible to do 40, but I don't think from 40 to 80 is likely without team members. Okay, so just know that you have diminishing returns, diminishing results once you get past a certain business, which is why it has to be at a reasonable percentage of growth, right? So once you have this filled out, you're going to come up with formulas for your contract fallout rate, your agreement to close. So people that you've met with that have agreed to work with you with a buyer broker agreement or listing agreement, and then your lead to close conversion. And these are going to be the metrics that you check weekly. I call this my vision tracker report. So I have a set number of goals, and my goal is to hit my goal. Like, I don't think that I win if I get close to my goal. It's getting my goal. Okay, so in my world, you either win or you lose. I know lots of people are like, oh, but I set this big gigantic goal so I would get close. That is still losing. Okay, you just feel good about that. I like to hit goals that I'm gonna for sure hit. Okay, set goals that I'm gonna for sure hit. So this is how you do that, because when you know that you don't have enough leads, then you know that the next week you have to prospect more. If you didn't have high enough conversion, we got to start focusing on follow-up and maybe do a call night, right? If your lead to close ratio doesn't look right, but you're getting the right number of leads, right number of hours of prospecting, you either have to improve your skills in terms of scripting, conversion, maybe we get some automation, or, right, you've got to decide that we're changing lead sources altogether, right? So this is super important. It is done weekly, reviewed every month, reviewed year to date, once a month, right? So I am very hardcore about these formulas. My team can all recite them to you, and it's how we hit all of our goals every single year. Okay, so I'm gonna start opening this up for questions, right? So you all are gonna get a copy of this booklet, right, for business, but I also want to be able to answer your questions on what you guys want to do for 2022 in terms of business, like what questions you have about like what the market's going to do, ways to pivot, ways to track data. So can I get you guys to turn on your cameras so I can see you? And then can I get you guys to, let's see. So I got Justin. Hi, Justin. Good to see your face. Come on, guys. I need to see your faces. Okay. Hi, Karen, Lindsay. Let's see. Let's see. Can I get Adriana, Ashley, Donna, Emmanuel, Javier, Jasmine? Okay. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
I don't know how to turn on my camera now.
No worries. Okay. So Justin, I'm going to pick on you first. Okay. What's one thing that you came to learn from this class today that I can answer?
I came just to learn how to put a business together because I'm totally new in real estate. And my one question was going to be, how do I get the slides that you put up? But you already answered that. You'll be sending that in my email.
Yes, you guys should all have a copy. Kelly's going to email that after the fact. But Justin, since you are brand new to this business, my first recommendation, again, like I said, is start with the database portion of this booklet, get 300 people down, and start figuring out, like, of them, who owns a house, who doesn't own a house, right? And then figure out how you can provide value to that demographic. Like, look at them as a whole in the business spreadsheet and figure out who you know and what types of things you can help them with.
Perfect. Thank you, Lizzie.
Absolutely. That's awesome. All right, Karen, I'm going to pick on you, honey. Oh, you're still muted, honey. Yep.
Sorry about that. I think I need to work more on my data I mean, I need to focus more on that than trying to get more leads, I believe, or doing both.
So the longer that you are in business, the larger percentage of your business that should be coming from a database. Okay, so if your database isn't organized and you don't have a good marketing plan for the database, you'll really want to start there first, because one, it has the best ROI. So the highest conversion for leads, guys, automatically comes from people that know and like you already.
Right, that's correct. Yes, thank you.
Karen, if you want to, if you want to put your email in the chat, I will email you. And if for whoever wants this, I have an easy like 36 touch database plan that I can email you guys that just gives you like what the basics are for like a birthday program, the number of touches that you can have, tools that you guys can utilize for ongoing follow-up.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll do that. Thank you.
Yes, love it. Okay, Lindsay, can I pick on you, honey?
There. I don't know that I have anything specific that I made the decision to listen to this class. I listened to a class that you put together for us probably a month ago, and I just felt like it was more about the online. You talked about your YouTube channel and how you modified business to gain more leads, more profitable leads. So I didn't have a specific reason. I thought you put really good information out there and wanted to see what I can glean from that. So there you go.
So thank you first and foremost for watching the classes. That means a lot to me. So the last class that I really taught about was figuring out your niche in terms of marketing.
Okay.
So this actually all comes from this business plan. So when you do your business plan and you look up who your primary source of business is, it's very easy to figure out who to market to. Just like I told Justin, right? Get that list of 300 people, find out, are they homeowners? Do they own a home? How long have they been in a home? Do they have families? Right? Once you can get like that nitty gritty demographic information, you're like, okay, well, what type of money problems do they have? Right? What type of credit problems do they have? At least for me, first-time home buyers, credit and money are their biggest problems.
Mhm.
A move-up buyer is like, well, how do I buy and sell a home at the same time?
Mhm.
You know, they might have liquidity problems, might need to know about bridge financing, or like there's so many different products now in real estate that you guys can be able to offer them, which I think is super huge,
Mhm.
right? So that's how you come up with this. And then based on what you guys can currently put up in terms of marketing, it starts slow. So like, for instance, when I first did my business plan, I'm like, all right, it's first time home buyers and it's real estate agents and I'm doing this milk rug. So I used to see 60 people every single week. That was my business plan. I only had enough time to write an email newsletter. Okay. So that email newsletter on the market was like the thing that got my business going. Right. That was the thing I did over and over and over again. And then I started seeing that I was getting traction from that. And I'm like, okay, well, how do I get that to be 30% better? And then it was like a weekly video. Right. So then I did a weekly video. And then that video did well. And I was like, okay, well, how do I improve on that? And then it became like a weekly live Q&A. Right. But again, it's still based on the needs of the people that I constantly help. And then how do I help them 30% better? In 2022, it looks like a budgeting app that I can help them like see their pathway to home ownership, right? But it starts off slow. Newsletter, a video plus a YouTube live, and it grows from there. But that's how but it starts from this business plan, right? You don't know where to go unless you have a map.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Thank you.
Okay. Jasmine, can I pick on you, honey?
Of course. So I guess I just hopped on because I'm new to originating my own loans. I was an LOA. It's been a little over a year. So I just wanted to learn how to like create that business data just because I'm doing a lot of cold calling right now. So I want to shift to find how and what's going to bring me business really. So I hopped on here.
So one thing I can tell you that I think is really huge, especially when you're newer to like real estate or to loans, is never discount like things that you're good at, like cold calling. So one thing that a lot of real estate agents do is that they buy internet leads. And if you are good at cold calling, you know, having your social media give 1 to 2 tips every single day on how the best conversion strategies for leads would probably be a really good resource for real estate agents. The other thing is like setting up a call night to call old leads of theirs adds value to them, right? And helps them save money from like expenses from hiring an ISA, right? So one of the biggest values that you can have as a newer person in the business, this goes for you too, Justin, is that you guys can spend your time, and time is valuable, right? And Justin, I don't know what you did in your previous career because this is, you know, newer, but if you can use some of those same techniques, same strategies, same education to better your number one referral source, this will be the way that you guys grow your businesses. So I hope that that helps, right? These are all super huge things. Okay. So if you guys take away anything from today's class, right, my number one thing is that you guys realize that the way to having the best year that you're ever going to have is literally through going through the past, figuring out the database, number one, figuring out the closed transactions, figuring out the lead sources. If you cannot do that, your aha moment should be, I need to gather better data, right? Like number one, right? Where am I collecting that? Okay, can I start with a database, right? Can I leverage social media? So when I got fired from my job, this was one of the big aha moments I had. I lost all of the information that I ever had. And so I leveraged things like Facebook and my cell phone. So one technique that you guys can do if you have been in the business and haven't kept any of this information is start going through A's in your phone. Just go through A's in your phone, go through Facebook, make sure they're your friend, find out information about them, shoot them a video, say, hey, how the heck are you? How are things, right? Find out ways that you can help improve their business, right? If you go through the alphabet, right, that's the first place to start your database, right? And most people, I've never seen one person that had less than 160 people in their phone, which is literally 10 more people than you need for a minimum database. Okay, so if you start there first, that's a really wonderful place to start building up your raving fans, to start building up that cold tribe that'll refer you business, especially if you focus on how to provide them value. Okay, the other thing is you can leverage your partners. So if you have a title company or a loan officer that you guys use, they can get you a lot of the information because they've probably tracked it. At least I know most mortgage companies, they're like internal corporates. Companies have a CRM system and they should be able to export you guys all the information for every transaction that you've done. The other thing that you can do is title companies have access to this thing called an MTA, which is a report of all of your closed sales, buying and listing. Okay, again, has all of the addresses, doesn't have the client names, but has all of the addresses, and then purchase or listing and the sales price. So that's an easy way to get the data right away if you have not collected it. Okay, so I hope that those were like, you know, quick hacks for you guys on what to do. Okay, so we have time for 2 more questions if you guys have them. You guys, we have kind of a celebrity on this call, just so you guys know. I just noticed the Javier Vidana is on this call right now. Can I get you to turn on your camera? Maybe you can answer some questions about YouTube, because I'm sure people would love to hear from you. Let's see, I wonder if he walked away from his computer. All right. So I don't think we're going to get him on this, but you guys, if you guys want to, I would check out his channel. He does a weekly live He actually taught me everything I know about YouTube demographics, everything. He's pretty freaking amazing. And I would definitely go check him out. And I'll see if I can get him to host an actual class for my home group, right? You guys like would really love to hear it. So, all right, guys. Well, if there are no more questions, I will make sure to get you guys the 33 touch database strategies and a copy of the workbook. I appreciate you guys so much for coming. And if you got value at all from this class, don't forget to leave Lizy alone, okay? Awesome, guys. Appreciate you.